What's going on, guys? Well, this is not exactly what I was hoping to be doing today. But when I drove kind of about, I don't know, 120-ish, say, 100 miles today, and Nova did fine. Transmission, engine, all that stuff's fine. What's weird, well, I'm no scientist or doctor, but I don't think it's supposed to be doing that. So what I'm going to do is something in there obviously is not happy. So I'm going to take that wheel off real quick. We're going to jack it up, take that wheel off, and see what the heck anything looks like. I'm hoping it's not a ball joint. Hopefully it's something easy. We'll see. Hopefully something just kind of like moved around in there. I don't know. But it's weird. I was just like, I heard a weird noise driving, and I was like, it seems like it's from the front passenger side. It wasn't great. Now, it drove fine. Nothing was weird driving-wise. It was totally just around corners and all that stuff. It was just making random noise. So, whatever it is, it's probably, it's probably a ball joint or something like that. It's weird. And it's going away. And, which, just mind you, remember, if you haven't watched already, this front end is the CPP Mini subframe kit with all Moog ball joints that are like 2 years old. Excuse me, and have like 5,000 miles on them. So, fingers crossed it's not that, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it probably is. So, let's crack into it and see what it is. Ugh. Well, here, you ready? This is the sound it made when I started picking it up. Oh, jack moved. Damn it. Go back to your home. Go to your home. There we go. I don't think anything back there is weird. And remember, kids, always put a jack stand underneath so you don't get squished. I'm about to make people cringe. Okay, because I don't really care. I haven't had these wheels off since drag week. Okay, that's still warm. Oh, that looks mushy. Those haven't fallen off. Doesn't look like those are all screwed. Because this is all brand new. Like, literally all of this is new. So, I don't know. I don't think it's those coming loose. Nope. Steering shaft? No. Interesting, interesting, interesting. The fact that this is blown out a little bit isn't my favorite thing. That's loose. Yeah, that's joyous. That's probably the noise right there. That bolt's loose. That nut's loose. That one is too. Well, okay then. This is also a lesson in safety, kids. So, these were about a turn loose, about half a turn loose. This one obviously still shows it being loose. But you know why it's not moving? This guy right here. So always make sure you put these guys back on when you see the holes on suspension stuff. It's a good thing to use the pins. Because had I not put those in on these two, both these nuts would have fallen off at some point, and it would have shook this entire spindle off the car, and tire, spindle, brake, just everything would have went. So, yeah. This is also a good lesson to always check your stuff and nut and bolt everything when you start driving your stuff again. And never, never just go, it's okay, I'm sure. Or if there's a weird sound, always double check and make sure that it's okay. Because if I didn't, at some point, one of these probably would have just went and said, see you later. So always check that stuff. I'm going to probably, I tightened this one up. The sound went away a little bit, so I'm going to tighten up the bottom one just to see. I'm probably going to still end up ordering 2 ball joints. That way I'm just like not worried about it and like, well, I wonder, because last thing I need to have happen is one of these ball joints to come apart at 105 miles an hour at the top end of the racetrack. So we're just going to do that, and that way I know those are good. And if the noise is up here somewhere, I know it's nothing weird, because all this is like physically bolted together and there's nothing like bearing wise that can fall apart up here. So the only other thing that it might be is that guy right there, that bushing inside of that. But even then, that looks okay. I'm going to tighten this just to confirm that it's that, and then see. Yeah, when you start looking around at stuff under here, I mean, that could be causing a little bit of noise, but I doubt it. That one looks fine. This one's greasy, nasty, and like dripping grease and crap all over everything. And this is really dirty, which the bottom one doesn't look nearly as bad as that one does. So, and that all looks fresh, like it's just said, I am quitting life, I am done. So yeah, I'm gonna go check the other side just to make sure, and I might tighten that up, just like the nut, just to see, but it looks like I'm gonna have to be ordering a ball joint. Sick! That's what I wanted to do today. So I didn't video any of it, but I put I tightened both of the castle nuts up. They got about half turn on each of them, and then I put the jack underneath it, and it's just making like bushing noise now. So I'm gonna put it back together and see what it does. And it may be the hint that the spindle is wearing out, or it may be that the ball joints are saying, I don't want to live anymore. I don't know. Moment of truth. Let's see if it makes horrendous noise. Healed. Bam. Tomorrow I'll put grease in those and we'll call it a day. Pretend like nothing happened. I'm not a drunk officer, I'm testing things. I don't have my wallet on me either, so if I get hold of her, I hope there's not a cop sitting over that church. That'd be awesome. My wallet's back at the house. Yeah, I think if it would be making that sound right now, maybe it would have made it by now. Like slaloming the car right now. And then hit the brakes. We're gonna hit a little bump. Hit more bumps. Go back around. Swervy swerves. Well, is it fixed? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna stay broken? Is it gonna mean something? I don't know. Who knows? All I know is I'm delirious. And it's not making the noise it made before. So we're gonna call that good for now. Was this at all helpful for anyone? I don't know. Oh. There's that noise. Now, is that ball joints or is that the spindle? I guess I'll go under and see what if those have loosened at all. As if they loosened, I guess that's maybe the ball joint getting loose. I don't know. That one's tight. I mean, they're not finger tight like they were. That's so weird. Okay, well, it's been some days later. At least 3. And we have Nova backup on jack stands on both sides, so I can compare both sides of the car. And I didn't film it, but I greased everything up underneath the car, tried to see if there was any kind of weird oddities or anything with it. And when I was doing that, I'll show you. I found out, so you can see this. Yeah, let me make it not like whiting it out. So that shock, how it's all rubber and everything on that side. So the one that was on the inside, I don't know if I can get to it, that one right there, which is holding the inside part. Yeah, that guy. You can kind of see it up on the top. Well, it's like totally gone on the bottom. I don't know if there's a way for me to... I can't really get there. Yeah, so I took the nut off just now. Maybe you can see it right there. So it's totally gone on that back side. So that could absolutely be the sound that I'm hearing. So I'm going to pull this shock out of it. Pull the shock out the top, and then I'm going to redo these bushings right here on the bottom, and then that should, quote unquote, make this potentially work the way it needs to. It says here in fine print anyway. So that's going to be my next thing. If nothing else, I do need to replace those because it's obviously junk. So I have some old ones off like a Lakewood drag shock that we had. They're probably not perfect, but they're definitely going to fit. So I'm going to replace those real quick, and then we can drive it again, and we'll see if it changes anything on the front end. Hopefully it does, and we can move on with our lives, but if it doesn't, we have to keep working around things. A couple of people were talking about the shock or the spring perch, this guy right here. One thing I did notice is that it's pushed forward, or it's pushed forward a little bit on this side, and the other side it's actually pushed back, so then there's space in the front. And I honestly don't know if that's just because of the way the shock is in here, if it just does that while you're like driving, if it kind of like moves around, and that's why, you know, it's a bushing in there. There is a company that is out there. I need to try to like either talk to them and like see just like if I can like do anything with them, or it's $250 and they basically rebuild these with like a roller bearing bushing in them, and they're really nice, and it's supposed to help like better handling, helps free up the front suspension, basically is what it does. So theoretically it would help the car 60 foot better, and help the weight transfer, it do a lot of stuff for the front of the car. Better than a rubber bushing does, because when you like have this in your hand and you're like trying to move it, it's really hard to move. Whereas with a bearing, it's just a bearing and you just spin it and it just works. Kind of like, I think it's not too dissimilar to this back one right here, or something like that. It would turn it into that versus, you know, a rubber bushing like any other leaf spring bushing kind of thing. But yeah, I digress. I'm gonna go put this guy in and then pull it out, swap those with those, and we're gonna go from there. Yeah, as much as that was doing, I think in that shock perch or spring perch, I think that will be a little bit better. I'm sure that was doing a lot for that bushing. Junk. Ugh. Nova is back in the air. Last time you saw this, it was driving. And I think I've made some headway. So one of the things, so I drove it to my work and back, which is about a 65-mile turnaround. Didn't make a whole lot of noise until it got right back onto the gravel road coming back to the house. Then it started making a lot of noise. And then I had one of my friends ride with me. And when I turned the wheel, it started making noise. So it was starting to be rotational with like steering, which leads me to believe it is that guy right there. We put the old pry bar, stethoscope on that dude, and it is noisier than everything else that is in the suspension. Another thing I found while I was looking at everything, so the shock tower brace, I guess is what you would call this thing. I don't really know what these are called, like strut supports things. As you can see, there's a new bolt in there. That is because both of these were out, which I knew this one was gone, because right there on the other side of that is where the EFI computer is. It's on this side, right from like here to here is where it's sitting. So that nut hasn't been there for a minute. But that one was totally gone, and this whole front end was like wiggling and popping and banging. So that 1000% could be the noise that it was making before. So I nutted and bolted. I checked the rest of these just to make sure they're all tight, and they all are. I'm still going to check this ball joint and confirm that that is okay. There's really no way for me to like move that around and try to see if it moves around until I basically get the ball joint broke loose and I can look at that and see. I'm probably not going to do that tonight because I need to work on the Camaro and finish that guy up. I have some headway with that one too, so hopefully we'll have both these back up and running this week. That is another video you can watch. But yeah, so we got that. I'm going to figure that out, get that working, and at some point I will have the other nut in this as soon as I get the battery to the back and we can move this over here, and that way the EFI controllers over here with like the panel and everything that we're going to put up here. But for right now, it's obviously been fine without that nut in there, but as soon as that second one was gone, then it flopped around and wasn't good. So always something, and a reminder to always nut and bolt check your front ends and make sure everything's good. I'm gonna have to do that after that. I'm gonna go through and make sure everything's good. We've just been so like, it's fine, it doesn't make any noise, I'm sure everything's great, but it's that one time where it isn't, and you hear something and you're like, I'm sure it's nothing, and it actually is something. So I'm gonna go through, check everything. This is your time to go check all your crap and make sure it's all nice and tight and where it should be, and go from there. So I'm gonna get that guy back together. We're gonna get this off and apart, get that ball joint loose so we can look at it and see how bad it is, check the spindle, make sure it's all where it needs to be, and then put it back together, either with a new old ball joint that I have off of the old suspension, which is also a Moog one, or a new one, or we'll redo, like repack, re-grease that one, like clean it all up and re-grease it. We'll do something like that. One of those three things is going to happen, and put it back together. So let's get to it. All right, time to pop a ball joint. This is so fun. I have this guy holding up the rest of it because it's not going to be apart that long, and the shock is going to hold the top part in, so I'm not concerned about that. Bad monkey. You stay there. Stay. Should I grabbed a zip tie for that at the very beginning, but I didn't because, I'm not very smart, so. Just gotta grab that guy, pull it up. Keep the slack off that guy. Okay. He doesn't sound the best. It could definitely sound better, that's for sure. Let's get him off and see what he looks like. We'll just put that there, it's fine. Damn it. This is the one good thing about a 62 to 67 Novas is that the ball joints are bolt-in, so grease. Ugh. I'm kind of thinking the dust cover came off and the bearing got screwed, or the ball joint itself got jacked because of it. Someone at Moog, so is there someone that watches this that works at Moog? Can you guys like work on that, please? I know it's probably like, 1/10 of your guys' sales, but us hot rod guys appreciate your stuff. And doesn't feel good. Oh. Yum. Let's go grab my other one and see what that one looks like. Ugh. When I took the dust cover off, I could feel like metallic feelings, like metal shavings in there. Not the best, that's for sure. So, if for no other reason, I'm going to go to one of these guys. I'm going to go to either that one or that one and probably put that boot on it. Put that Zerk fitting in one of these and just like make sure it gets enough grease that it needs and then just send it. More than likely both of these are fine. These are the ones that we put in the car in like 2017-ish with the stock stuff before we went to Oregon with the car. And they were in the car for 10,000 miles, so I mean they're basically still new. And then I took them off when I did all the CPP stuff. And I just went ahead and bought all new Moog stuff. One to either just keep these around, so that way we had them for later, or whatever, end up down the road, if we had another car, or for this reason right here. That way we always have extras. So, because it's always good to have spare parts. So, and these being pre-COVID, they're probably a little bit better apart. So I'm gonna get eeny, meeny, miny, you probably. Yeah, see that one? I mean, I know I get that it's on the thing, but I mean this one yeah, versus, I mean, I know it's moving it, but still, I mean, I'm not trying very hard at all on either of those. I'll probably actually use that one. Alright, let me take these apart, clean them all up, and put them back together, and we'll cross our fingers that this is, between this and the sheet metal thing up there, this fixes everything. We're going to pretend like this is the fix. So, let's get to it. Another thing I wanted to check real quick was look inside that and see if there's any real major metal grinding weariness. I don't know if you can really see. I'm holding the, light of God here. And it's hard to really tell if that is walled out or not. So that looks like that. Again, not necessarily ideal, but I don't feel anything on the sides of this guy that would show that it's like major scoring necessarily on the ball joint that would make this seem like it's potentially, you know, wallered out or anything. I don't like the way that is. I might take a wire brush or some piece of sandpaper and clean up that edge right there. Try to get that off of there. That way it's not just actively just scraping on whatever that is. And then we'll just see what it does and put it back together. And it probably needs a spindle, but you know, it's fine. We'll just pretend like it doesn't and hope it doesn't. Because I don't want to spend $150 on a spindle. Alright, I got my Scotch-Brite pad here. Just trying to... Actually, let me grab a little bit. Grab my you know, cinder block. 36 grit here. And this is simply to knock down that outer edge. All right, well, we got the rotor back up. We have the spindle back together, and theoretically it should be okay. I hit a little bit of a snag though, because I noticed something I don't really like. So on the Right Stuff Detailing brake pads that I have on this car, they're the performance, you know, drilled ones to match these that I got years ago for a other car actually that is no longer here. Yeah, so I saw this nice little lip right here in the brake caliper, and that was just like sitting in there and it popped off. So that's good. I'm like, I don't want that grenading on me at some point, because there's a nice little lip right there, and like I could probably run that. And if I needed to like go somewhere tomorrow, I could, but I don't. And that's sketch. Like seriously sketch. So I'm going to order brake pads for this car, and I'm going to go look and see which all I want to invest in. Maybe it's EBC, maybe it's, you know, Master Pro from O'Reilly's. I don't really know. I'm going to take pictures of those though and make sure, because I think these are just stock like 70s A-body brakes, I think is all this is. But I'm going to take pictures of those and, excuse me, make sure that that's actually what these are. Before I start ordering things, and turns out I get the wrong thing because I'm an idiot, which is very likely. But I'm going to do that before we do anything else, because brakes are kind of important. So, and if this side's doing that, I'm sure the other side's doing the same thing. So if I can get some decent brake pads on the front that aren't looking like that, that is going to be muy bueno. So I think I'm going to call it for tonight, but that is good progress on this. So, and there's big huge bugs walking around on all my stuff. Yeah. Okay, so fingers crossed. Brake pads are switched. And don't worry, I did switch both. I'm not a total hack. We switched out both, and the other side looked exactly the same. So you got those guys out. Everything's clear underneath. Yep, alright. Going down. Much quieter. So phase one, good lord. Yeah, it's not making any noise, so potentially fixed. We'll have to drive it again, and I need to now I need to seat those brakes. Fun, because I love doing that. Yeah, seat those brakes, have to put the battery back in the car, and theoretically, maybe it's fixed. Do you know? I don't know. So we added bolts to the front end, that whole sheet metal thing. We added those. Switched out that ball joint, we re-greased it, new boot, new all that stuff. So theoretically that's all good, plus new brakes, so just in case if there was any noise there. Maybe. I don't know. It's Saturday night. I'm going to go in the house and edit and drink whiskey and Coke. See you guys in the morning. I'm going to seat these brakes in the morning. That way I can actually see. So, see you guys then. All right. Driving time. Ugh. GoPro is charging, so you're going to be on my phone. I like that new battery a lot. So we are going to see how the car feels and like steering wise, and then I have to seat the brakes too. So get those brakes where they need to be properly. So let's get this done because I got other stuff to do. So hopefully this all works and we can move on to the next thing. Try to get a little bit of brake pedal here first and then go to like 35 and then stop a few times and get down to like 5 miles an hour and then go to like 45, then do the same thing again, and you know the deal. You've seen it brakes, I'm sure, before. It's always a fun thing that you do. Not really. It's even more fun when your speedometer doesn't work, so you have to kind of guess. So we'll go, you know, there and go. So the wheels didn't feel that hot. I did a few more stops. I can smell the brakes now, so we definitely got them nice and warm. They're not squeaking though, so hypothetically speaking, as long as they're not glazed, they should be fine. We'll make sure, I'll jack up the front of the car, we'll spin the wheels to make sure they're not dragging or anything. Because if they're dragging, that'll be an issue. We'll have to address that. So, yeah. All right, so I just put another, 20-something miles on the car probably. That's all good. That's all bushing noises. Yeah, we'll take that. That's all bushing noise. So I think the front end's fixed. Brakes are all good. We're going to call that, I think, a day. So note to self, if you have 62, 67 Novas, or Mustangs for that matter, that have the whole subframe and front clip crap, check all the bolts, nut and bolt them every year, every 6 months, if you're driving the car hard. If you're driving the car hard, you probably already know that. But yeah, check them over, make sure everything's good, because if that sheet metal gets loose, it's going to start making noise, and that means bad things, because noise leads to things breaking or coming apart, and leaves you straight out on the road or worse. So make sure you check all that stuff. Until then, I will see you guys later. Be sure to follow along because we're probably going bracket racing soon again. So fun. And fireworks in the shop.